Okay. Or are you what? Oh, okay. All right. So welcome to have all of you here tonight. Oh my gosh, super excited about this topic, money management. I'm April Roper, and I've been building my business since 1999, and I am well aware that that is probably longer than some of you have been alive. And that is literally my whole adult life. And I started when I was 23 as a young woman right out of college. And I've had a lot to learn, a lot of growing. I've grown up, like I said, 23. I mean, who's really got it all together at 23? Not me. So I have been in Mary Kay almost as long as I was alive before Mary Kay. And the women that have fed into my life all of these years, I always give credit to my parents. I have amazing parents. My mom is like my BFF. But there is something about having women speak into your life who you're not related to. Because when it's your mom or someone that you're related to, you think they have to say that, or they are just saying that, like, oh, you're just saying that because you have to, you know. But when you have other women like our Mary Kay mentors who have been doing that, it really impacts your life in a whole nother layer. So I'm just so grateful to be here and be doing this. So let's talk about money management. We will dive in. I'm sure all of you on here have an amazing sales director who have already explained to you the 60-40 split, and we make 50%. That's Mary Kay in a nutshell. But I don't know if you're like me. Oh, thank you, Patricia. Yes. Absolutely loving our Mary Kay, and no one ever thinks that I'm the age that I'm at. So it's very cool. So those young women who are here, rest assured you are in the right place, because whether you better stick with Mary Kay product, whether you stick with it as a consultant, because you definitely need the product. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so, and I use it all. People are like, what do you, all of it. Like a girl today, she was like, what lipstick do you use? I was like, all of it. Like, I mean, you own the store, you might as well. Okay. So money management, like I said, 60-40 split, 50%. That's the nutshell. Now, with that comes a lot more that in my experience, because what I have really stressed in my own life is that balance where you're managing your household income and your Mary Kay profit. Okay. My profit has always been important to me. Like, I wasn't like, my husband has a good job, but we need our income, my income. So there were also times where I was the only income. He was in school, and so I was the only income. You know, so I'm coming from a perspective that I've had to be very detailed about it because it was important. Like, that's how we paid our bills. So if it's too detailed, you just have to forgive me and just take what's for you, and what doesn't apply, just like say, oh, okay, like I don't need that. No big deal. So you can filter, I'm encouraging you to filter. So I'm going to do a screen share and show you where it all starts. So for me, it starts on InTouch with my customers, and it starts with entering either here or on the app, okay, on our customer app, all sales. Like, so every customer, every sale, all my customers are here. And then if I have a new order, it goes here. You find your customer, let's say it's June, and you build that in here. So like if June texts me in whenever, you know, I put the order in under June. Okay. Now, ideally, I'm really trying to train my customers after all these years to go on the website or the app and submit the order, because then it's already built. And if they go in the website or the app, they see other stuff, right? They don't just reorder their concealer. So I'm trying to train them to do that, because that's another layer. You know, even if you're sending the preferred customer lookbook, even if you use the PCP for the lookbook, using that website and app is another layer for them to see more stuff, because those are designed to show them additional product. I mean, Mary Kay is super smart. So I am trying to train some of my longtime customers to do that themselves. I am romancing the build a wish list, put a heart, and also the app. I mean, the app and the website remembers what you ordered from before. So how many times, like over the years, I've prided myself and marketed myself as a consultant who kept all the records. So like, if you don't remember your foundation shade, or the name rubs off, I got your back, right? That's part of my customized consultant service. However, Mary Kay also can help us with that, because it's my understanding their past orders or past products show up. So Mary Kay helps them out. Okay, so entering all sales in either through my customers or the app is critical. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is I'm going to try to change my screen. So please tell me if you guys see now the orders list. You see that? Okay, thumbs up. Thank you so much. So then that way, all of your orders come into the orders list. Okay, and then you definitely, there's a couple of parts, and I'm interjecting this because I think this is one area that can get really frustrating if you don't know the tiny details. So when you, like I just saw Nikita a couple hours ago. So when you're in here and you are doing this, and you know, she gave me a card. So I'm going to mark it fully paid, and then I'll mark complete. I say, okay. I open another screen most of the time. And what I'll do is, or pull it up on my phone, but I like to just use my desktop and open multiple tabs like a crazy woman. So I will pull up another tab and go ahead and add those products into my next order that I'm building for Mary Kay. Okay. So I just open another tab. I pull back up my InTouch. I'll go to the customer ordering and add that back in my inventory. That way I don't have to be, I don't have to do it later. Like I just do it. And I usually do this once a week, by the way. I reconcile my orders. That's what I call it. I reconcile my orders, where I go in, I mark them all as, did they pay me? Do I need to deliver something else? And then I add it into an order to build for my next order. Okay. So here's the key. If you also use my customers' inventory, if you use the My Customers inventory on the phone, you have to mark shipped and delivered in order for it to take it out of your inventory on your phone. Okay. They do not, anyway, that's how it works. Okay. Now, here's the next step. I have had a method to these details. So the next step is in that other window that I might have opened for InTouch. So I have two InTouch windows open. I will go to the weekly accomplishment sheets. Okay. So the reason this is important, actually, I'm just going to do this and see if you guys, hopefully it's letting you watch me change that. So if you're not familiar with it, so you go to weekly accomplishment sheet. Now you notice that I have I did that really quickly, but I have the weekly accomplishments as one of my favorites. So it's super quick. So you've got your weekly accomplishments, and then you go to enter. Okay. So you see Nikita's order that we were looking at over here. Okay. So here's the key. You cannot archive an order before you reconcile it in the WAS, weekly accomplishment. Okay. The only reason you can still see Nikita's order here in the WAS is because it is it's not archived. Okay. Once I archive the order, once I reconcile my orders and I archive it, I click OK. I'll just see if it'll show you in real time. Nikita's order is gone before I added it here. Okay, does that make sense? Does anybody have a question? So like if I unarchive, all right, I refresh, Nikita's order is back. I will do my sales tax. Hold on. Okay. And I'll show you what I mean. So we had a facial. She tried a blush. Okay. And so when I go back over here now, I refresh, I can archive. And she's down here in the accomplishments. And so she'll stay on my report. Okay. And she's here twice because I did it twice to show you. But anyway, I'll fix all that later. Does that make sense? Anybody have questions on that part? And I'm spending time on these details because this is like some of the things that I just had to learn by trial and error on my own. I don't really know that any of those instructions are written anywhere. Like where you have to mark as shipped and delivered for your inventory to be correct. And then I'm just rehashing. And then the unarchive and archive and how that coordinates with the weekly accomplishment sheet, right? Okay. So you guys just interrupt or flag me down if you have any questions. Okay. So that's a little bit about that. Well, that's a lot about that, actually. Now we're going to look at, let's see. So you've got your orders, you've got your weekly accomplishment. All right. So you got your sheet here. So as you build your weekly total, I'm trying to see what I think will make sense. So you guys are able to look at your weekly total. If you go over here to the earnings, I think it's under earnings. So there's these tabs here. Hold on. Summary, which one is it? Yeah, this one. Okay. It will give you a total. Oh, I'm trying to find the one where it shows you your 60/40. I'm sorry, I thought it was right here. Okay, click here for print or vert. That's it. Okay. So if you scroll down, it actually shows you your right here, your 60/40 split. Okay. The important thing about this is that's only correct if you did not give discounts. I'm not sure that it knows because you have to put in when you record it, you have to put the price that you sold it for in the sales. So like if you gave 20% off for a birthday, you just put how much you sold it for. And then it takes the discount. Does anybody know if that 60/40 shows up perfectly? It didn't used to. Okay. They may have changed it.
I don't think it does, April. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think you have to account for that or, yeah. Okay. That's kind of another rabbit trail, but just keep that in mind. Okay. Like if you're giving discounts, adjust your 60/40 split. Okay. But you still have to take, I know we say 60/40, 60 back to the business and that extra 10% above the 50. So like 50% is for product reorder. And then that extra 10% is section 2. You definitely, I mean, I know we live in a different world now with mailing samples, but as far as money management, we always used to train that you didn't want to spend any more than 5% on section 2, which I feel like now is a real stretch because we do so much virtual. So you kind of have to just gauge that on what's right for your business. And then the other 5% per sale, so to speak, was your preferred customer program. And I actually think that takes a little bit extra now too. Okay. So this is just the nitty gritty on money management. So hopefully that's helping kind of just grasp those details, because I think when we don't grasp it, you end up having more expenses and you're like, why aren't I making as much profit as I thought, or whatever. It's like just dealing in real numbers, right? So just know what's right for your business and keep track of that over a period of time. And the only way that you know that is by tracking it and doing it. And that's why I still love the weekly accomplishment sheet, because it does allow you to get some of these numbers in there, and then you can deal with reality. Okay. And so, because obviously, okay, let's look at this week. Like so far, okay, I've only sold less than $100 because Nikita's in there twice, right? So you got to look at that too. It's a reality check based on how much am I investing wholesale versus how much I'm selling, every week. Yes, there are times to invest. And then there are also times that you need to checkpoint so that doesn't get out of balance. Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about the personal side, because this is really important. This has been to me, and I think it is to a lot of women, because eventually, like, Mary Kay is fun, and we can absolutely just be having so much fun that we forget if we're making money. And then our husband's like, well, how much money did you make? Or significant other or children who we want to buy stuff for. And we're like, well, I'm really not sure. So let's deal in reality. I like to use mint.com. It is free. I have paid for the partner app for a long time. Okay. It was what was it? It was that partner app to Mint. It's not free. I paid $15 a month. What was it called? Oh, sorry, guys. It's not Mint. It's Intuit, and it's like a suite of apps that you log in. Okay. But just go to mint.com. It'll get you to the right place. Anyway, I've used the paid one, and I've gone back to this free one because I do think it is sufficient for most people. And what you can do, and I think this is really important, and I have not, let's see, I will stop the share for 2 seconds. I have not addressed this in the training yet, but definitely a given to please set up a separate free checking account for your business. Okay. I know if you're on here and you've been in very long, you probably have that done, but in case you're new or you haven't done that yet, just please do that. And I'll show you why, because it's for your taxes. You want to have write-offs, and the only way that you can legally take those write-offs is if, number one, you have that separate business checking and you can show receipts or transactions that apply to your business. And otherwise, you're not getting the full tax write-offs that you might be deserving. And that can compensate if you have another job that you pay in your federal taxes, then that helps you get more of a return when you have a home business, right? That you're claiming some expenses. So that's why it's really important to do something like mint.com. Now, I've seen people who do like old school and have their own spreadsheets for this, what I'm about to show you. But honestly, I have too many moving parts, and I had to have, a professional app. Okay. So what I have here are separate accounts, and this is through my bank. Okay. So if I were to log in and show you my Regions account, okay, so Regions or whatever bank you have, I have separate accounts in that, in my bank, and that I use that for my money management. So I, as a sales director, we pay quarterly taxes so that the IRS stays happy with my business. So I pay quarterly taxes. So I put a certain amount per month into a separate, I transfer it from my commission check into my tax savings account. Okay. And that's different for every sales director, is different for every business. So don't get caught up on the dollar amounts that you're seeing here. just take the concept if you're a director. And then if you want to be a director, I think this is really important because I thought, oh gosh, should I show all that? And it's like, you know what? Like, if you want to be a director, like, nobody told me this. So I had to do it myself. And I think it's just a really good practice. And so know that every month you're going to want to transfer, and then quarterly you send that money to the IRS. All right. The other thing I do is I, over time, have learned what my yearly expenses are for that once a year type of expense. So I don't know, but most people on here are going to have a property tax for your home or a boat or whatever you own, right? You have property tax, and then you also have your car taxes, unless you have a free Mary Kay car. So those, and then for us, well, anyway, this is a caveat, but like if you have a propane heater, propane tank, you may choose to pay that once a month on a graduated scale, or previously we actually just paid when they filled up our tank. So, I mean, that would be $700 a couple of times a year. So if you don't have that money set aside, that's like a big ouchie all out of one paycheck. So those are the kinds of things I'm talking about. Things that come up for you once a year, plan for those ahead of time. So I'll go back to this chair, and that's what this is: car, property tax, and security fund. Okay, so sometimes I've moved my security fund. That is different now. So sometimes I do choose to put like extra security savings into this account. But your car and property taxes should be something that is balanced out there. Mine is low right now because mine is due. So I've taken that money out. So ours is due in the first week of November. So you've got your car and property tax. All right, that's just one example. Then I have my MK account. Okay, that's where my sales money goes. And then that's where I use to place my product orders. I try to be on a cash basis. I'm kind of to that point where, you know, like, unless it's just a month, like perhaps double credit month, like we're in right now, and you want to choose to invest a little bit more, but otherwise I'm pretty cash basis as to where I'm just replacing what I order or what I sell because I have the inventory that I need. And so we're just kind of on that. And like this month would be a normal month and I would be almost at my 600 already. So, you know, that kind of thing. So I'd have the money to pay for that. So you want your MK account. And then I have the Mary Kay travel account. So again, some of you may have traveled to a fall advance, or you have a seminar that's going to happen in another 7 months. It happens every year, right? So how much, you know, ask your director about how much that is an average for you and start putting that in. The reason my Mary Kay travel says 0 is because I took all that out and I have gone to advance just last weekend. So I was able to use the money that was there. So then you have your personal account where it's just kind of your daily operating budget, right? Okay, so hopefully that helps. All of this is still in Mint, okay? This is the reason I'm telling you this. There's a reason. Like, yes, we want to talk about budget, but there's a reason. The other thing is you can sync up all of this, and you can sync up if you have any other outstanding credit cards or balances. The reason I think that's important is because a lot of time, any debt that we carry is out of sight, out of mind, and it just never tends to get paid off. Okay, I've been there. I am not even going to tell you some of the financial debacles I've gotten myself into, which is why I became very rigid about my finances. Live and learn the hard way, they say. So the things I'm telling you are from sheer experience on what I've learned works for me. So when I sync up all of those accounts, I can't pretend they're not there. So putting that on there. And yeah, this is my Southwest card. I do get points, you know, I mean, it's like, just be real with yourself, like about your, if you have a credit card, like, you know, just deal in reality. Here's the magic of mint.com. Yes, you can sync all of those accounts and deal in reality. And then the reason it's important is because all of your transactions now come through Mint, through your checking account. You can assign the categories and really get a handle on what your life budget is. If you constantly come up short and you don't know where your money goes, this is how you're going to know. Okay. This is the best way. Here's the other cool thing. You can take your accounts and separate them out. So like I can see separated out what my Mary Kay account looks like and what my personal account looks like. So here again, this is really easy come tax time because all of my shipping is labeled. All of my travel is labeled. So then when it's time to run that report, whether if you pay for Canva, like whatever. So when it's time to run that report, you've got all the categories and all the expenses. So when you are ready to do your taxes, you're not scrambling or trying to add up receipts on the night before they're due. It's just so great. So you run those reports, the totals are there. And here's the cool thing, like if it's Canva and that's, you can count that as advertising. You can label Canva in the app so that every month, if that's coming out, it goes to that label automatically. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to put brain cells. It's a immediate label. Same thing for any recurring expenses, anything at all. So let's say pirate ship, you label that as shipping, and every single time that pirate ship withdraws money, it goes into the shipping and postage, or office and postage, however you have it labeled. That's the other thing. There are some details with the labeling of your finances that I've discovered. That gets really tedious, and I can give that to the directors later. I should have had that prepared because that is an important part of when you talk about the categories of your business, where you have office and postage. And then let's say, this is what I do. So let's say a customer pays you in Venmo. Okay. I go in once a week into Mint and I adjust any categories that didn't get assigned correctly. Okay. So like let's say, okay, so my Hilton from last weekend went into hotel. Perfect. This right here, a customer paid me in PayPal and I transferred it into my checking account, my Mary Kay account, not your personal account. And so I have a category that says app pay and sales income, because how else do you know where all that money is if you're not funneling it back into your Mary Kay account? I will also say the other thing that the anomaly that I have not figured out how to track very well is because of our ProPay being connected to our Mary Kay orders. That gets a little muddy as far as tracking profit, because it's really easy just to apply those funds to your order and then you aren't really taking a profit from that. That's the other reason why your weekly accomplishment sheet ties back into this big picture. Because if you've been using that, then you have a sales total and you know what you should have made. So then you have to get detailed about, well, then where did the money go? You're like, oh, I had a huge, a couple $100 or more, 600 in ProPay, and I applied that to my order. So I never actually saw the profit. And again, nothing wrong with that. You just you're aware, and then it gives you so much more peace. You're not just constantly like, where's my money going? Like, where it's like it's like bye-bye, off into the sky. So those are some things about that I think are important. So the categories and assigning that, and then it does help you even with your personal budget. Again, I'll go back to that, because you can set up the personal and MK to sync in, so you can separate that out. And then you've got your personal, where it's like, okay, auto insurance, State Farm, great. And then like Walmart, okay, that's a biggie. You know, Walmart gets automatically assigned to the shopping category in my Mint. And so it's like, okay, how much are we spending at Walmart? Like, do we need a budget? You know, and that's a very real thing to me. I've always worked on a budget. Yes, we have a very lucrative business. Yes, you can make money today. You can sell product for money. It's a lucrative cash, but you know, it's like I like dealing in like real numbers, and so I do now. Like I didn't. That's why all of this was born out of necessity in my life. So I like knowing how much I'm spending at Walmart because okay, oh, hey, I don't have enough money at the end of the month in my account. Okay, well, where are we spending it? Again, the fast food. Okay, my husband ate out a couple times while I was gone to Advance on our hubby. They don't like to do that, right? We're gone, so they're eating out. And so you can see fast food. Oh, well, so you get to the end of a month, you have real numbers to see how much you're spending on fast food or eating out. So I just love this. You can see here, health is a priority. I've got my vitamin order. So you can absolutely, I told the girls, I was like, you know, I don't know any other way to do this than to just show you my own personal stuff, which I was like, I'm being really vulnerable because it's all out there. So I would have had to make like duplicate, like dummy accounts or whatever. And I was like, oh golly, that's too much. So you can just deal in reality here. That's what we're doing. Okay. The last and final piece of my personal budgeting. I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's more. But wait, there's more. Yes, Mint helps me. Mint helps me do that, but I will show you one other piece that has really helped me as well. And it is a Google spreadsheet. So here I go. The Google spreadsheet, I have listed all of my bills well, let me start at the left. So when the bill is due, so the first column, when the bill is due, the company name, like who is it, where, you know, what's it going to say on my checking account, basically, like what is it, how much comes out, or an average. Okay, so let me tell you this as well, which we touched on, which is those things that happen that are fluctuating dollar amounts, right? Okay, so let's say some months my electric bill is $120 or less because it depends on, like we use heat in the winter in a propane tank. So our electric bill is less in the winter, but our propane bill is more. Okay, so you've got to know these fluctuations. So the electric bill is an average. I know this because I have tracked it for a year. You're going to have to track some of these numbers. You track it for a year. And then you divide it out and say, okay, so electricity is an average of $150 a month. Well, what does that mean? Some months, like this summer when it was 110 here, and some of you who live in Palm Desert, I'm sure your AC bills are like $300. And so, yeah, or more, there you go. And so we have to account for that in the big picture, okay? So you have to know and gauge that, like, hey, do I need 300 in the summer months? Okay, an average. You got to deal with an average. So if you have your average, then technically you should have that money in your account when you need it. If you have low months and high months, okay? I have all of it, how much it costs, and I have how it's paid, because I don't know about you, but there's money going out everywhere. Like sometimes it's registered through the company. Sometimes I pay it through my auto pay on my bank account. Sometimes I go manually to the website and pay it. Sometimes like, it's nuts, the world we live in with the money. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. You know, we used to sit down, well, because again, many of you were not alive as long as I've been working my business. So we used to sit down with a checkbook and you wrote out all your bills and then you knew how much they were and then how much you spent, right? But now we do the digital stuff and it's everywhere. So I wrote this down. This helps also if my husband needs to look at it or ever change it and I'm in a coma, he knows where to go. Like, I have contingency plans, right? Because I'm like, how much stress is that if you get, I don't know, something, life happens, and it's like, well, who would know how I'm paying these bills? I mean, because I do it. So, okay. So like here I wrote instructions, call the company, call the office. His name is Roger, So I've kind of gone overboard, but this is my version of a living will. Okay. I don't have a living will. This is it. Okay. So let's keep going. Then you have totals. Okay. So obviously these are the things that come out every month, but then it gets even more fun because you have your food, your household, your gas, your dining out. Okay. Those are the numbers that you get from Mint. Okay. So you see how it's kind of all related. But I like knowing, I like having this chart so that when Andy and I get our paychecks, I know like what's coming out the next week, right? Like, what do I need? Oh, okay. No surprises. Great. Check that off of the mental checklist. Okay. Then I have my MK expenses down here. Okay. So I know exactly how much money it takes to run my business every single month. Okay. This looks different for everybody. It looks different for every director. So like that's kind of irrelevant, but just having down here what it takes. And even for consultants now, for you guys, it is important. I know some of these things where you may have your project broadcast or your Scipio, like however you're sending out customer stuff. You have Canva. Sometimes you have these other subscriptions, right? Things that you use. And so I feel like, there was a time when I was a consultant, like we didn't even need all that. It wasn't an access. So now you do. And so just tracking that and saying, this is how much it takes to actually run my business. I think then that just helps you, empowers you actually to be able to say yes and no to things that you want, And I'm again, maybe I shouldn't say no, that you have to say no, because there's a philosophy that we can make as much as we want. And like I was saying, we can make money fast. We can do it. But I just feel like for my life over time, it's just been empowering to be able to know exactly where the numbers are, where they come from, and then how to expand beyond that. Because here's the other final slide. Here's my yearly stuff. I was telling you guys to map out what are the things that come out yearly. Like, do you have AAA? Your ProPay comes out. Do you have a domain name? Or most of you now, honestly, I highly recommend Linktree. I do not recommend a website unless you like have anyway, like you're you want to focus on a brand, so to speak. Really a Linktree if you have a team that you want to share documents with. You have Voxer, right? Once a year. I pay for Dropbox storage. So it's just that stuff. And I know I'm like, y'all are probably just getting bored, but so then over here, I have tabs. Okay. These are the tabs and all of the paychecks. So I have my income, and then I have down here, my sales profit that I can say, like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and I can get a total. Just so again, I have a ballpark of a monthly, how much did I sell versus how much monthly income, just tracking the paychecks, like from me, my spouse, like however you get money. And with that, most of my profit now does get absorbed into my business expenses. So I'm not necessarily tracking profit just to say like, because I'm using my sales profit to necessarily, pay for groceries, which some of you are. That's great. That's why this is really important. So now for me, my sales income is more, hey, can I cover, like I kind of play a game with myself. Can I cover all my Mary Kay expenses with my sales profit? And that way I get to keep all of my commission check. So it's kind of like then you can start playing games with yourself if you know what you're dealing with, to kind of like up it, and say, hey, if I sold $1,000, then that means Like all that's paid for, and then I can do this with my commission check or bonuses or whatever. Okay. I think I'll take a breath now. Anybody have questions? Or it doesn't look like anyone's asleep. That's cool.
It was so good, April, so good. And we don't have to go back into the main room. So ladies, if you have questions, go ahead and
Perfect.
let's take some time and go through them. What was there something that stuck out that April said, a clarification or anything?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you guys. You're so nice.
I
For
love
being
the
awake.
mint thing.
You're so nice for being awake.
I haven't used the mint thing, but that's awesome.
It is. What was that other one? It's super popular. Thank you guys. You're so sweet. Thank you. You're so generous. Just saying it was great. Like I said, I'm just glad you're not asleep. That's a win. What was that other one? And you pay for it. It's like $15 a month. And it's super popular. I can't even believe it's for small business. And it's part of the Mint suite of the Intuit software. So maybe it was just called Intuit. I feel like anyway. Obviously, I was able to let it go. I paid for it for years. Yes, QuickBooks for small business. Thank you. And it was the small business version. Thank you for putting me out of my misery. That's great. Yes. QuickBooks for small business, because they have a lot of versions of it based on the size of your business or what you're doing. But then I discovered Mint and I tested it this year actually, and I like it. And I think it's plenty for what we're doing. It's a little tricky on getting to the reports, but it does give you the reports for each category.
Perfect.
QuickBooks was easier to pull the report, not going to lie, but this works too. I've been able to look it up and it works and it's free. So.
And April, do you recommend with the putting the money aside for the tax payment? Have you just over time kind of figured out, like on average, on if I pay this much on a quarterly basis? Because I do the same thing. But do you recommend for them to just kind of, when they talk to their tax person this next year, if they haven't done that, to really kind of talk about that specifically? Or how did you come to know? Because for me, I know for me, it was, I ended up falling short one year and I was like, oh, I guess I need to track that.
Yes, like I said, everything I share with you is from a painful experience of some sort. So that is why I've gotten so detailed about it. So yeah, several years ago now, I mean, because I've been a director now for 19 years. So several years ago. But yeah, that was a rude awakening. And to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you when it was. It was when the tax rules changed in 2008, when we had that other recession. I don't know if the tax rules will be changing, but honestly, that is something that we do have to prepare for, because the government just changes things. And so anyway, yes, over time. And I have a tax preparer. That's the other thing. Once you're a sales director, I highly recommend like a tax preparer. I feel like also it will cut down on your chances of being audited. I've never been audited, knock on wood. That could change, because I do know they have hired a lot of new IRS people to handle people like me who they want to make sure that we're paying taxes, right? So, and I don't know if you guys know that, but yeah, like even PayPal, like you have to register now. They want to know, like, if you're taking money from a business, and Venmo, same thing. So yeah, the government kind of wants to make sure that we're all paying taxes on our home business. So what I'm saying is, yes, it's over time. And as a consultant, I don't want you guys to be freaked out about that. Here's the thing too. A lot of people, I do want to clarify. Thank you that I thought of this. You do not have to pay sales tax and claim that, because we do that when we order. Mary Kay takes care of that. So everybody just like, whoo, like you don't have to track that or worry. This is if you are making a significant income on your commission checks, like a director. Okay. So again, telling you guys if you are going to be a director, if you're not really, you really only just reap the benefits of being able to have a home business, have expense write-offs that compensate your other 1099 or W-2, your other W-2 perhaps, or 1099 if you are a consultant as another business, in real life, like a business consultant, or you have a 1099 independent contractor business, then either way, your Mary Kay business should be able to offset what you're paying in. Because your commission checks as a sales director or a top consultant are tax free because you are a 1099 independent contractor. So that's why, Chris was addressing that about quarterly taxes and things like that. That would be if you're receiving a commission check, a substantial amount that has not yet been taxed. But no one here has to worry about sales tax.
Right.
That's good. Great. Took all that off the plate. I have a lot of people that ask me that, and I'm like, guess what? You do not even have to think about it. Mary Kay takes care of it. We pay it up front. Done.
So cool. Yay.
Yeah, but thank you for just asking about that, because that's a part that some people are unsure about. They're like,
Sure.
Gosh, do I want to work for myself? Can I pay the taxes and do the business? It's like, hey, you know what? I've seen it all. You can do it.
Yeah.
I've been, some years I saved enough, some years I didn't. And you know what? If you have to pay at the end, a couple hundred or whatever, it's like, okay, that's the price of having freedom. That's the price of being your own boss, right? I mean, I've never really been too bent out of shape if I had to pay a couple hundred at the end. But now I do know like an average of, okay, if my average yearly commissions are this, I need to save about this much. And again, the tax preparer helps me know that amount. Like, it's not like you have to figure all this out on your own. If you have a tax preparer, I highly recommend that. Your chances going back to an audit, I know I'm getting like really in depth, but that's highly unlikely if you have a tax preparer, because they are signing their name to it. And the IRS kind of looks at that as your professional backup of like, okay, well, this person thinks this girl's legit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, knock on wood, can always happen randomly, that I've never been audited, and I've always used a professional to help me. And do you pay for that? Yes, you do. That
it's worth it.
Again, the price of being your own boss, having freedom and flexibility, being a boss babe, having the opportunity that we have, that is worth it.
Totally.
Okay, hold on. Question. Let's see.
Nadira was asking if you file separately or joint. And I think that again it's more understanding that, because this is the biggest thing that a lot of people get caught up on of what's going to happen to me tax wise. It's each separate person's individual situation. That's why a tax preparer is so important.
It's true.
Because everybody,
and thank you for
my
asking
husband's
that.
also self-employed. I know Tisha's husband's self-employed. So because of that, every person's situation is different. So that's why having that tax person, even if, you're not receiving huge commissions and things like that, you still want to make sure that you could be missing a deduction that you could take because you have an in-home based business that you don't even know about.
100%. If you do business in your home, like you have women come into your house for facials, you should have them sign a guest book. And that is your registry of doing business in your home. And then you can write off certain things about your home, like your home office space, or even so far as, a portion of electric bill, a portion of certain bills of your home. But again, stipulations with what your situation is, how you're filing. And but that's exactly what Chris said. Like, you could be actually missing out on a deduction And using a tax preparer is the best way. Because then they can get to know you. And I also read what you said. Yes, you've got to get a person that knows about a small business.
Mhm.
And I do have a couple of referrals if they are qualified in your state that work with small business. And I will say, even a Mary Kay business is kind of its
Very
own
different.
bear. Yeah, because of all the deductions we can have.
Yeah.
And so if they're not used to that, they may overlook something. I mean, I don't want you to worry. I mean, I'm just saying, it's actually a good thing. Like we have so many things that we can write off. And so
Yeah.
also, I didn't mention this one, but Mile IQ is an app for tracking your mileage. So you guys don't forget as part of your money management to track your mileage, because you do get a tax deduction there as well. So when you deliver product or you drive to meetings or your appointments, you can write that off.
Yay. Yeah.
I
think if you're
know.
looking for a tax person, talk to your director. Because if
Yes, in your area.
in your
Yes,
area, because then they should have somebody that you can go through. But this was so good,
absolutely.
April. Thank you so much.
Oh, y'all are so gracious, and thank you. I know it's not an easy topic. I mean, so thank you. Like I said, it's a win. You're all still awake.
I'm going to turn off the recording.